As I mentioned just now with talking with Faith and Kimberly, there's been just a firestorm, a barrage of media coverage on the issue of same-sex marriage ever since the president said basically the very same thing that Dick Cheney had said 3 years ago. And people have lost, it seems, a lot of perspective and proportion. Both parties, it's fascinating. But one of the common arguments against same-sex marriage is it threatens the institution of traditional marriage, a man and a woman. So we wanted to take a look at how marriage in this country is really doing and what the threats are. And the answer is that for decades now, not so well. According to the Pew Research Center, just 51% of adults over the age of 18 are getting married. Now that is quite remarkable. Compared to, well, 1960, it's a little different. 72% over the age of 18 were married. Part of that decline is because, in fact, men and women now are getting married much later and later. The median age for marriage last year was 29 for men, 27 for women. So let's average that out at 28% as the 28 as the average. And then go back. It's, by the way, the highest ever recorded. It's also 6 years older for both men and women today than back in 1960, when the average age of marriage was 22 years. Marriage is no longer, by the way, considered a prerequisite by many millennials, certainly for parenthood. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 41% of children today are being born to single mothers. 41% of all children born to single mothers in this country. Now, my question is this. Why is it that neither this president or Mitt Romney in their campaigns, why is it that they're not talking about this? Single mothers in the 1960s, by the way, 5%. Now, we're talking about gay marriage, single-sex marriage. And we've got these kinds of problems in traditional heterosexual marriage in this country. Why? The trend contributes to the fact that fewer children are living in a household with two married parents. In the 1960s, by the way, that was 87%. 87% lived in a household with a mother and a father. 87% with two parents. Now, 64%. That's really remarkable. And as for the cause of divorce, it's not gay couples, it's not same-sex marriage. In fact, most studies suggest that money, sexual problems, infidelity, a lack of communication are contributing factors. Meanwhile, a report from the Williams Institute finds that an estimated 9 million Americans, or just about 4% of the population, define themselves as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, and their allies. 4%. 4%. And the number one cause in study after study is finance. Again, not 4% of the population that are driving the institution of marriage to the sorry state that in which we find it today in America. Same-sex households, by the way, if you're worried about that, and some people are still relatively rare. In fact, 600,000 gay couple households in 2010, the most recent number that we have. That amounts to 1/2 of 1% in the country. And you know what we noticed was 1/2 of 1% in households, 4% here, and guess what? In media coverage, it seemed to us like 100% of the coverage was all about these very small percentages. I haven't heard a single story about the fact that 41% of our mothers are single in this country, that we are seeing that many children born out of wedlock, that we're seeing that many marriages fail, that we're seeing this few marriages exist in this country. Those are the issues these two candidates in my humble opinion, need to start talking about.